Now, for 6 days, Mr. Matos, you stayed in the home with these four bodies.
Yeah.
Now, that I'm used to the smell. I smelt the smell of one decomposed body on more than one occasion, and the shit is horrible. You never forget
Yep.
that smell.
Yeah.
So let me go into this right here, Mr. Matos. At what what point that night did you start moving the bodies from one room to another room that night, or was it the next day?
I believe that night I started moving them to the garage after Tristan went to sleep, and it was the most disturbing experience ever. Just looking at them lifeless, and once the smell started kicking in, it was even worse.
Now, let me ask you this. Who was the first body that you moved first to the garage? Okay, we're going to say you killed Margaret, so Margaret was already there. So
Yeah.
in the house, who was the first body that went to the garage?
Honestly, I can't remember. Um, it might have been Nicholas because he was the heaviest, so I might have moved him first. But it's been so long, I can't remember.
Okay. So let's go back to when did the odor started getting unbearable in this house?
Uh, it started probably within eight 8 hours, maybe a little more.
8 hours. Okay, a little bit more. Could you explain to us from your side of the truth, four decomposing, rotten bodies? What were those bodies smelling like, sir?
It's like a rotting fish and ammonia. It's horrible. You want to throw up, and there's these flies that come immediately. These flies come and start feeding on them, and it's horrible. It's a disturbing experience, something you don't ever want to experience.
Like I said, I experienced the smell of one on several occasions, but
Yeah.
four, no, that just had to be the cat's meow to that, and I don't think I ever want to smell no more than one at one time. Now, how long did it take? How many days did you stay in this house with the? Well, how many days before you moved the bodies from the home?
I believe I moved them the very next day.
The very
The
next
very,
day. Mm-hmm.
the very next night, I believe that's when I moved them.
Okay, how did you move them, and what did you move them with, sir?
Well, I had to use rope to tie around their torsos to drag them, and I had to use a dolly to lift them up onto the back of the minivan. And it was a lot of uh, exhausting work. And by the time I was done, I was disgusted. I wanted to throw up. I just wanted to shower, and I was in a worse mental state than I was when it first started. Just moving them did some permanent damage on my mental state, and to this day I still have nightmares about it. It's something that I can't erase from my memory. It would haunt me for the rest of my life.
I'm quite sure that right there would. So now, as you get these bodies into the van and you drive them away,
Yeah.
where did you take them, sir?
Up the road to Old Dixie Highway.
Old Dixie Highway. Now, what's on Old Dixie Highway, if you don't mind me asking?
Old Dixie Highway is a abandoned road, and it's blocked off by a sign, and it's just a old dirt road, and it's not really used. I think it's like a service road for the electric company. There was an electric, some type of electric posts where they would work on the lines, and there was like a gate, and I believe that's what the road was mainly used for.
Now, at any point, you got 4 dead bodies in the minivan, decomposing bodies at that. So the smell was unpleasant in that vehicle. Did you have the windows rolled down, or you had them up with the air going? How did that happen?
Well, it was a short drive, probably less than a mile. So I rolled the windows down because the smell was unbearable. The flies were unbearable, and it was just a horrible experience.
Okay. At any point, were you afraid that someone may have gotten behind you, the police or something, and may have pulled you over with these bodies in the vehicle?
Yeah, the whole time I was just worried that, somebody was going to find me or try to hurt me or try to, do something to me if they see them. All types of thoughts are going to my head. Am I going to live to see tomorrow? And the whole time I could only think about Tristan and his safety and making sure that he was safe, making sure that he had something to eat, making sure he didn't have to see anything, so I try to clean up the mess as best as I could so Tristan wouldn't see any of it. I didn't want him to, look at any of the mess that was left behind.
So with that being said, okay, you dropped the bodies, you went back to the house. Did you shower again, or what did you do after that?
After that, I believe I went back to the house. I showered, checked on Tristan, and a lot of times I would sit in the kitchen and I would smoke cigarettes, drink a beer, and just start crying, and I would just be in shock a lot of times and just sit there for hours, thinking about what happened. And if it really did happen, sometimes I felt like it was a bad dream that, I was waiting to wake up from, a bad nightmare, actually, that I was, waiting to wake up from.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that would be something that I would want to wake up from too. As you was drinking the beer, smoking cigarettes, crying, and everything, was the phone ringing at the home?
Yeah. Their cell phones kept ringing, and I just kept, declining the calls. Eventually, I just turned off the phones. Family members was worried and looking for them. So the situation was getting worse and worse and worse, and time was running out. There was really nowhere to go. I had nowhere to go. I really don't have any family to go to here in Florida. So there was nowhere to go. And, my main concern was just keeping Tristan safe, making sure he had something to eat. And, the more I sat there, the more I lost it,
Right.
There was no one to talk to.
Go ahead.
There was no one to talk to. There was no one, to look to for help.
Okay. So, how many 6 days you were there? Okay, the 6 days you were there, did any family member or anyone come to that house and knock on the door for the family?
No. No one came looking for the family. No.
Okay.
There was an unusual looking car outside that just was out of place. It seemed like it might have been one of Michelle Stinson's friends, and they sat outside one day for like an hour or two, and I thought it was a bit odd that they were, parked outside.
Okay. Now, is this true? Because this was in the media, so I got to ask this question. That the family breeded dogs and had a dog kennel, and they had expensive dogs. Is that true?
Yeah, her mom breeded rare dogs, labradoodles, and stuff like that.
Mr. Matos, is it true that you placed an ad on Craigslist to sell the dogs and you sold 6 dogs for $50 a piece? Is that true?
It was 10 dogs, and it was $50 a piece. And yes, I posted an ad on Craigslist and sold these dogs. There was 20 dogs in the house, and there was just way too many for us to take care of. She was actually trying to sell the dogs when we first got there, and the more they just sat in the house, the more they just kept multiplying, and it wasn't an environment for a child to grow up in. 20 dogs living under the same roof as our family. It was chaos. There was piss and shit all over the floor every day, and these dogs needed a home. So I sold them, and we needed the money for food.
Okay, so you didn't sell 6, you sold 10 dogs.
10 dogs.
10 dogs at $50 each. See, now this is why, the media gets stuff wrong, and that's why we have to go to the source to get everything corrected. So it was 10 dogs.